Hello YouTube. Ages ago now I built an Alien Ray Gun and I was really quite pleased with it, and I really loved the process of making it. So I thought I'd have another go at making a sort of a gun, but this time I thought I'd do a steampunk gun. This thing I'm holding here is called a Pro Diablo. It's a really powerful catapult, and I had one a really long time ago and I bought this other one at a car boot sale. So this one's a spare one. All these other bits and bobs are just things that I've found in my shed. This particular thing is a handle from an old strimmer, and I just attached that white thing on the top of it. That I think I did back when I was doing my other gun. But anyway, I thought I might be able to use that. And then there's all these other like bits and bobs that I can potentially use. I've just piled them all together in a big heap, and then I can decide on what bits I want and what bits I don't want. If you're a little bit of a hoarder like I am, you might find that you've already got loads of bits of junk kicking around that you might be able to use yourself to make your own steampunk gun. This is just a welder. I was going to use this, but I don't know if I will. I thought I'd show you it anyway. It's got some cool shapes to it, some cool little kind of knurled knobs on it and that kind of thing that I could use. But I do quite like the idea of also just using this as a welder at some point. There's this sort of plastic cone shaped thing with these kind of hollow bits in it that I thought might be quite good for the end of the gun. So I'll probably use that for that. And then I've got those rods that you can see in behind. They'll be quite cool, I think. And they've got holes so that they can be attached with screws or anything. So that's quite useful. It's quite useful finding parts that when you look at them you think, oh, I can easily see how I'm going to attach that to something else. I think this is a little motion sensor for an outside light or something like that. Things like tubes are obviously very useful, and also anything that's hollow that you can feed a tube through. So this particular part's really good, and the fact that it's got bits kind of sticking off the side of it that other things can be attached to, I'd definitely be using this. Anyway, there's a whole load of bits and bobs here, and I think most of them have got good potential. I just wanted to mention this thing that I found at a car boot sale. I bought it because I have no idea what it is and it kind of intrigued me. So if any of you know what this is, if you could leave a comment, that'd be quite cool because I'd love to know. The guy that sold it to me said potentially it could be from a farm or it could be from a dock area. So I started off by just feeding some tubes over some other tubes, and I've ended up with this kind of shape, which is looking pretty cool as a start. Because all of the tubes fit quite snugly onto each other, I just glued them with super glue, and that seems to have held really tightly. I also just fed a long piece of dowel into this thing because I thought this looks like the end of a gun, and you can see here, just again stuck with super glue. But this is quite cool because that other white tube will just feed over the top of this dowel, so it's a good way of attaching like literally everything together. Right, this is with those two parts stuck together. You can see I've also used the rods to attach on there, and what's really cool is they could screw straight into the plastic on both sections, so it makes it really firm. You can see I've also added this heatsink to the side. That's just screwed on, but that adds a really cool kind of look to it. Right, you can see I got a bit carried away, got a bit lost in it after that last clip. I meant to add some more clips in between, but you can see here I've added the catapult, and then I've added like little things like springs. I've added these kind of rubber hoses that I think they came from a washing machine, but they look really quite funky. Loads of the little springs, so here on the ends of the catapults. There's lots of cool things like clips on those rubber things. I think this is all going to look good kind of painted up. You can see this little brass thing that I've got. I'm not sure what that's from. I think it might be from one of those little kind of steam pump kind of things, like a little pump engine or something like that. You can see the plastic tubes I've added on, this plastic thing on the end. Again, there's a spring inside there. So it's all looking really funky, and at this point I'm kind of looking forward to painting the whole thing. I'll just show you the other side as well. So you can see that heat sink that I showed you earlier, but there's quite a lot of other bits like little clips and cable ties that I've used to hold it together. Again, lots of things that will look good when it's all painted. I was particularly pleased with the way the springs looked. So those are just from shock absorbers from radio controlled cars, and then there are smaller springs that I just had in a little box somewhere, and I've added those, just with little screws and things, and I think it all adds to it. I think the more detail the better on this kind of thing. You can see I've added screws to the plastic bits that I just initially super glued. When you super glue things, quite often the super glue will hold and it'll be fine. But other times, over time, it can just kind of snap slightly or bits just fall off. So if you can screw things together as well, it just makes the whole thing a lot firmer. Right, because I was pleased with the whole overall shape, I decided it was time to paint it. So I painted pretty much the whole thing black to start with, apart from a few bits at the top. So like this kind of brass bit I left. There's a bit here that's kind of rusted metal that looks quite cool anyway. So I've left that just because it gives it a bit of extra texture. And I've also left that kind of grill bit. That I thought looked like a cool kind of target, so I thought I would leave that, and it looks pretty good. I'm going to be using System 3 paint to do all of the painting stages. Okay, after the black stage, I just mixed a range of different browns, and then I've just textured that over the top of the black. And that's worked quite well. It started to make it look like rusted metal. And then what I've done, after the brown has dried, I've just taken some silver paint and I've dabbed it on a bit of kitchen paper so the brush is almost dry, and then I've just gone around and just dusted that over the top of everything. And what that's done is it's really started to make a lot of it look like it's actually metal, which is really cool. I've then used some gold paint and I've tried to mimic the effect of that brass thing that's on there, just by dusting again, like dry brushing the gold paint over the top. So over the top of those sort of rods and just a few bits here and there, like the springs as well. You can see I've made that brown and rusted looking on the inside of the spring and then gold on the outside to make it kind of pop out. That's worked really well. And I've got the gold bit on the front there as well. And again, on that, just like dusting it all over kind of the bottom part. I've left some at the top to make it look like old metal again. And yeah, I think it's worked really well. This kind of base thing that you can see that it's kind of resting on is something that was white to start with, and I just have taken that and just painted it gold, and I think that looks nice, and it just means that the gun can kind of sit on top of it looking all cool. I'm not quite sure if this video captures how cool it looks or not, but I was really pleased with it anyway. I hope you all can appreciate it. What I'll do is show you it now from the other side so you can see that as well. Hopefully, every so often it will pick up that sort of shimmery silver effect that makes it look like old metal. And I can assure you in real life it looks even more like old metal. But anyway, hopefully this will give the rough idea. If you like this video, I'll leave a link at the end to the Alien Ray Gun that I made a long time ago. If you haven't seen that, check that out. Also, check out my other videos on creatures. I mainly make creatures from movies, like sort of gremlins and things from Star Wars and creepy little monsters and that kind of thing. The weirder the better. Check those out if you get a chance. Hit subscribe if you want to see anything that I make in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Incidentally, my channel contains lots of other things as well. I keep armadillos as pets, for example. I'm an artist, so I do loads of different paintings. Check out those videos. I used to keep loads of snakes and lizards and exotic pets, so there's lots of videos that cover that. And also, I'm a big collector of 80s toys and even older toys than that. So check those out if you get a chance too. I'd also like to thank Milliput because they sponsor this channel and they send me free Milliput from time to time. Even though I didn't use any Milliput for this particular build, I usually use it for all of my sculpting of creatures and things from movies. So thanks to them. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.